Hello and welcome, everybody. It is the Grain Blast. It is Thursday, the 20th of November. You join myself and the goddess of grain herself, Mrs. Angie Setzer, for a rapid roundup of the latest pricing, flows, and market moving news in grain market. Woohoo! But before we crack on, I'll get the legals out the way and just the warnings. As a reminder, regular listeners don't need to know this, but these are recorded live with no editing, etc. So apologies for any rants, the occasional swear word, me being an idiot, Angie laughing at me, going into fits of giggles, etc. Also, nothing discussed on this podcast is trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by anyone, really, PIQ, myself, or Angie. And if there was an endorsement, we'd be very clear about it because we are anti-bullshit on this show.
Very anti-bullshit on this show. How are you? I'm good. It's Thursday.
I'm having a bit of a midlife crisis, quite literally.
It is. Is it birthday week?
Oh, tomorrow. This is one more sleep until I'm 42.
I had it stuck in my head that it was the 23rd for some reason, so I'm glad that you mentioned it because I would have been really sad had I missed it. So
bearing in mind, tomorrow's show, I do expect you to be singing "Happy Birthday."
I will, and I'm going to make a cake, not to share with you.
Oh, hang on, that seems a bit like that's for you rather than me, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's for selfish reasons, but somewhere someone's having a birthday every day, so you might as well just get cake.
I love that theory.
That's life's too short to not enjoy cake. So yes, happy Thursday, happy Ryan's birthday eve.
Yeah.
For those of you who observe our great fun. 42 is not bad. I'm going to be 44 in February. I'm a little bit kind of. But if you do it right, like the next 20 years are like the best, supposed to be the best of your existence, right? I
can't remember I can't remember a good chunk of the last 20. So that's a low bar.
We can create some memories this go around. So that's where I'm at with it. But yeah, so happy Thursday market wise here as we start the day. We're kind of we were not to start. Like we were up a bit when I came back. We had a dose of export sales numbers this morning. We got the first round of export sales data since the shutdown or of the shutdown. We love a little slow drip of data and information from the government. Who needs last week's numbers, even though they should be up and reporting them at least? We're just going to give you the first week of October.
Right.
So that's what we got. And it was good. If you look at export sales numbers overall, everyone will be like, oh, the soybean number is so bad compared to before. Yes, we know China wasn't buying soybeans. Like we've had this conversation so much, but to have 900,000 metric ton of being sold here. One sec. Sorry. I dropped something. You have 900,000.
I was like, what is that noise?
That was me bending over. I'm sorry. I'm old. There you go. Now you know to look forward to that. But, we had 900,000 metric ton of soybeans sold. We haven't gotten a summary of from who or by who just yet. We're waiting to see. I guess they like to keep that a mystery, at least from what I've seen. But it's a good number without China being present. Like that tells us that we've had the rest of the world demand kind of come in and cover a portion of what we were missing, and it's in line with about what we need to have or need to see to meet USDA expectations. Corn export sales were a marketing year high. Now, that is saying something for corn as a whole, on the export sales side of things, because we're already so far ahead. Like the book is already so much bigger than the book we had on a year ago at this time, so to see us kind of continue to just mash the gas pedal on the sales side, you would think would be supportive. But at the same time, this information is 6 weeks old, and the large companies, the ABCDs of the world, like they traded this when it was happening. You know what I mean? Like this isn't new to them. This has already been baked into the cash market for a while and baked into the market structure of those who knew it was taking place, But we did see another big chunk of wheat sales as well, which to me sticks out the biggest or sticks out the most, simply because wheat in the last USDA report, they did not raise wheat exports. A lot of folks had anticipated that they'd have to simply because we'd had such a strong start to the export book for the year. June through October had been, pretty solid, or June through September anyway, the data that we'd had. And so to see the first week of October come in at a marketing year high for wheat and come in, a 500,000 metric ton above what was the average trade estimate ahead of the number is something that has my attention, mostly because I kind of noticed this morning that CIF, the Gulf wheat value has quietly firmed 40 cents in the last month and is 30 cents better than a year ago. And the reason this sticks out to me as odd is that everyone keeps talking about how US wheat is the most expensive wheat or is turning itself into the most expensive wheat and how no one's really looking to buy it, et cetera, et cetera. But each week we get information that shows us that, A, yeah, we're still selling the hell out of it. And B, we're seeing signs in the cash market that we're not satisfying at least the front end demand, with the sense that we're seeing basis kind of continue to
Right.
increase, or at least the bid continues to increase and the offer is non-existent. No one is really out there being like, yeah, I'll sell you wheat for a buck over. Like, they're just basically like, wheat, who we'll see next year. So the export sales numbers on that side of things was what had my attention the most. The wheat number was good, some of these other things. And just kind of piggybacking on export numbers and what we talked about yesterday, because we did talk a bit about the Black Sea and whether or not what is actually happening on the ground is matching the numbers that we're seeing. And we got another increase this morning from Sovecon on the Russian wheat crop. I think they bumped
Right.
it up to 11 bajillion bushels this morning. You can't see me roll. Like, I'm trying to be nice about this. It's in other places. Like, we just keep bumping up the production number and we're like, well, it's in a place that won't impact exports at all. Okay, cool. Okay, whatever. But that's what we're doing. And so you saw the wheat number get bumped up again this morning. But what I wanted to kind of look at is like, okay, where are we actually at? Because we talked yesterday about Ukraine wheat shipments lagging last year by a couple million metric ton. Russia's wheat shipments through October, June through October, are 5 million metric ton below a year ago. And so basically you're talking about 7 million metric ton, couple hundred, 280 million bushels difference. And both countries are anticipated to increase year over year if you ask the market, or if you try to, if you were to talk to people about their sentiment, they would say, oh, there's plentiful supplies, moving out of Ukraine and Russia, nothing to worry about in that regard. When in reality, we're lagging last year's pace relatively significantly. Russia's down over 25% year over year. And so it's just something I'm going to continue to watch. If we continue to see solid wheat numbers, we continue to see Gulf wheat basis rise, we continue to see slower shipping pace out of the Black Sea. I think then that conversation we had yesterday about the ability to move grain out of the region being impacted by the war picked up. Secondly, on the Black Sea side of things, we did hear from the Kremlin this morning that basically they said their piece in Alaska, and that is what it is. So the peace deal, I don't know, is that done now?
Cheers.
What'd you say? Sorry.
I said, yeah, thanks for that. Cheers.
Yeah, that's why they were like, okay, well, thanks for the because it's basically what they said. Like, we have said our point. We're not going to really change our opinion in this regard. And so I'm not sure who, like, they said that the White House had reached out to them or whatever, but they weren't consulting on any of this. And so that part was interesting to me. Otherwise, yesterday we had a bad day. Soybeans, basically, it was like one of those days where, it was like the Dumb and Dumber scene. Like, we had the EUDR postponement. We had
Yeah.
this rumor from the Trump administration, our pets' heads were falling off. And that's basically where we were at yesterday. So we did see that the EU, the European Union, did determine verbally, or did make the decision that they are going to postpone EUDR, the European deforestation regulation requirements. We had talked about this as something that I think was supporting the bean market.
Sorry. Please tell me that was the dog in the background with the
It
squeaky toy.
is the dog. I gotta grab it. That's what I bent over to grab in the first place from him, was the squeaky toy. And I missed.
I was listening contently, and also had a squeak in the background.
It's Jack. He's the dog that if he gets a toy, he has to find the squeaker and dismantle. Like, it's terrible. But anyway, that was the dog. My apologies. But yeah, so the EUDR postponement, like, basically we were looking at the U.S. as being the biggest beneficiary of that. And that had been something that I'd said we were kind of missing. It gotten lost in the shuffle of all of the China news because it happened the week prior. They had made the decision that they were going to enforce EUDR at the end of the month. But then over the last month, basically, like, you had the Dutch, I think it was, come out and be like, no, like, this isn't going to work for us. Then a couple others come out and they were like, can we just delay it a year? And so then yesterday they had determined, yeah, we'll go ahead. We'll delay that a year. And so you did see a bit come out of soybeans. And there was the rumor that this was going to happen the day prior, which I think was part of what pressured beans after we kind of spiked higher to start the day. And so, yeah, we're going to postpone that a year. That's going to you're going to see Brazil's soybean basis probably firm back up again. Like I said before, like I think it got lost in the shuffle, and part of the basis falling in Brazil that everyone was, and basis rising in the US, you know what I mean? Like the basis rose in the US, basis fell in Brazil, and everyone said it was simply because of China. It was partly because of the EUDR situation.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
you did see some correction of that yesterday. We also had some biofuel rumors that the Trump administration is going to go ahead and postpone the haircut. So there's a rule in the big beautiful bill that basically if you import feedstuffs or biofuels to blend, you don't get the credit, the full tax credit. There's like $1 blender's credit or producer's credit or whatever there is out there. They basically made it like if you import this stuff, you can't get that credit. Well, now there's a rumor floating around. Reuters posted yesterday that
Rolling your eyes.
I didn't. I promise. I'm being nice. I did post yesterday because Jarrett usually he has good stuff, but at the same time, I feel like the administration, if they try to scoop him, they're going to say the opposite. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's what happened yesterday. Is there's a rumor that they're kind of considering delaying this sort of haircut thing or this reduction in the export or the blender's tax if you import by feedstocks from somewhere other than Mexico or Canada, because the USMCA applies to these feedstocks or whatever. And so that was partly that kind of weighed heavily on the market as well. But I feel like the EUDR thing was the bigger thing because overall, if we import feedstocks or whatever, like, yeah, it has an influence. Like, don't get me wrong entirely, but we're just talking about, giving them 50% of this credit that we weren't going to give them. And yeah, like I don't want to poo poo it, but it's not.
But at the same time,
Yeah, at the same time, I don't know what'll happen. We'll see. And so, yeah, that's about it. China is continuing to buy. It looks like they'll buy 3 to 4 million metric ton of soybeans this week entirely. The market stopped being like, oh my God, they're buying for now, at least. We'll see how, cash reacts and when they want to ship it. I mean, I guess they're going to buy 3, 4 million metric ton for Dec, Jan, Feb, like we talked about yesterday, I think. And, look to buy 3 to 4 million metric ton again for March, April, May, and just basically buy like 4 million metric ton every 3 months to cover their needs. And like maybe they buy it by the end of the year, it's all booked or whatever, but it's 4 shipping periods throughout the new crop or the new calendar year. That's mainly what I expect, but they're going to fulfill their obligations, or at least at this point, they've done a third of them or close to it based on estimates, and we'll see where they land. They are also buying wheat. We did see a flash sale today of white wheat, wheat,
white wheat.
and wheat. You have to say it that way. If you don't know. You're just not a wheat trader, I guess. But they bought the white wheat, and we'll see. There's some rumors that they're fishing for some other stuff, potentially some corn, but so far nothing official. And that is
Well, wonderful. Well, I will let you get back to the dog, and I demand a picture posted on X on social media of said dog with said
I
squeaky
will
toy.
of Jack. Yeah, he's the bestest boy. He really is.
He's a very good boy. Well, Angie, thank you so much as always for the update. I really appreciate you. You know this. Our listeners really appreciate you. You know that as well. If you don't already, please, well, I'm guessing everyone already follows Angie on X on social media. Do so, not just for the quality insights, but also when she gets a little bit of a rant on, it can be very funny to watch. So get that filled out. And tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
And also, definitely do get involved in the content that she puts out with Carl, her husband. It's top quality stuff on the Substack and also on our website, etc. It is phenomenal content, worth every penny. And I say this not only because it's phenomenal content, but she massively undercharges for it. So fill your boots before she wakes up and smells the roses. But Angie, thank you, my love. Whatever you're doing today, keep it tight. Stay safe if you're out in the fields and whatnot. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Much love.
Have a good one, guys.